Okay, so now let's get into some shading. So in the last video I identified some shapes. So I don't really want to work with line here too much, but I might come in and just start to identify where some of those things are. Now, one thing to realize here is we got a big triangle that is just about black. So that I want to start to map out for sure. So that is about right there. So I don't have to do anything about that. Look on this piece there, this comes down and then around here a little bit. Now you can shade lots of different ways. Some people like to shade with a diagonal line. Some people actually scumble, like we did with colored pencil. You can use, I tend to use just kind of an overhand technique. I find that the easiest to control. Now remember, this is my real light. This is my number 2, so I'm considering that to be pretty light. Now, on the other side of that, I've got room, I need room for something darker and something lighter. So I'm going to come in here and do the darker piece. I'm just going to come up the side. And there's a little bit of white left, and it even has a little bit of dark on the side. Okay, so then I come around the side and I've got a little bit of white in there. The white, the highlights are just as important as the darks. Okay, so I'm hoping that this thing is going to start to look kind of round. Right? And it's just a little darker on that side. Okay. Now this is dark, right? So it's got some little shapes, darker shapes in there. Now I'm going to come in. This is going to have to be really dark. Now you can see how this is starting to turn up in my drawing. And it's a pretty defined shape. Now when you guys did your blind contours, you learned to look closely at what you're drawing, and that is very important here. So my eyes are going back and forth between my reference and what I'm doing. And I'm constantly checking myself. I'm going to come around this medium gray, which is like a 3, maybe a 4, comes around there. And it comes up, there it is again, right up in there. So you just take your time looking for these different things, asking yourself, this is going to be very similar to Picasso, but different because you're having to draw the shapes in here. The shapes are a little bit more complex. I'm actually going to put a line right in here. The shapes are a little bit more complex, but if you pay attention to where the darks are, I got some more dark down in here, right there, and a medium, more of a medium. If you can get, like we like to see 5 different shades of gray. Right now I've got my 2, okay? I've got my 1 is going to be my white. This is going to be my 3. I've got a level 4 showing up in here and in here, and then my darkest dark is going to be my 5. So that's important to be thinking about. I've got 5 different, I've got my 1, I've got my 2, what does it look like? My 3 is a little bit darker, my 4 is a little bit darker, and that's my 5. This gives me contrastive value. Defining the shapes, the flat shapes that you can see here, and the grays that go in them is what's going to turn this line drawing into 3-dimensional form. Takes practice, takes time. This is one I've spent a little bit more time on. Right, I'm identifying a little bit more detail in the different grays and parts of this. You can do this, you can take your time, work carefully. We're using these nice soft pencils, so it should shade quite nicely for you.